oral cavity opens to the outside. The salivary glands, the acinar cells that make up the acinus, and all those cells that line the ducts are epithelial cells. So they come from ectoderm as well. Now, you know, enamel comes from ameloblasts that are specialized epithelial cells. Enamel's on the outside of the tooth. That's the only dental tissue that comes from ectoderm. Now with endoderm, you don't have to worry too much about that, but that's endo is on the inside, and it's mainly tissues made up of epithelium that are on the inside, like all of our GI tract and our respiratory tract, with the GI tract excluding the oral cavity as well as the rectal area, and then the epithelial lining of our respiratory tract, excluding the nasal passages and the sinuses. But the only thing that's important for the oral region is just the epithelium covering the base of the tongue, that non-keratinized epithelium that I just showed today. That's derived from endoderm. Because right where the body and the base of the tongue meet, that's right where your fauces is, and that's before there was that membrane there, the oral pharyngeal membrane that kept that ectoderm separate from the endoderm. So body of the tongue, all that epithelium's covered with epithelium derived from ectoderm, opening to the outside, but just the base is related to endoderm. Okay, now with the mesoderm, remember there's primary mesoderm. That's the mesoderm that migrated to the middle during gastrulation. And then later on, as during the 4th week, when the neural tube is developing, that's a special area made up of neuroectoderm. That's where our central nervous system comes from, our brain and spinal cord. But when this is developing, that neural tube on the superior lateral aspects of the developing neural tube, there's this population of cells called the neural crest cells. When they migrate to the head and proliferate in the head and neck area, they make up what's called ectomesoderm, or sometimes you'll just hear ectomesenchyme. It should be an H in there after the C, the ectomesenchyme that means embryonic connective tissue. So in the head and neck area, everything that's a connective tissue comes from the ectomesoderm. So that would include the dermis of the skin, it would include the lamina propria, the submucosa, and all of the specialized connective tissues in the head and neck. All of our bones, and also cartilage, which we didn't really study in this course, and then all of the dental tissues except enamel are specialized connective tissues that comes from this ectomesoderm. And then the attachment apparatus, there we have bone again, and the PDL and the cementum. But in the rest of the body, excluding the head and neck, all of our connective tissue and specialized connective tissues, including our skeletal system, come from the primary mesoderm. A couple of miscellaneous things that come from ectomesoderm, those myoepithelial cells that help squeeze the acini to move the saliva along, all of our sensory and autonomic ganglia, and even our melanocytes that actually move up into the epithelium come from these neural crest cells. Okay, throughout the body, throughout the body. It doesn't matter if it's head or neck. So your circulatory system throughout the body, that's going to become, that comes from the original mesoderm, that primary mesoderm, and all of our muscle tissue. So any muscles in the head and neck that you've studied all come from primary mesoderm. Does that make it clearer for you now? Just to, if you put them in groups, ecto, think epithelium on the outside, and the neural crest is going to be all of the connective tissues in the head and neck, which is all of the dental tissues except enamel, and all of the attachment apparatus, all of the bones. So the mandible, the maxilla, all of the connective tissue proper, lamina propria, submucosa. You kind of just think in those groups, that'll help you remember it. I'm just getting that other chart up.